Greetings, Exalted Ones. My name is Dash. First of all, I want to apologize for anybody who feels let down by this video because I have not been happy for a while making Star Wars content and I didn't know how to stop. I know some of you have already known this, but I feel like I've deceived some of you. People kind of rely on me to give my view on Star Wars, my take, and it's what's kept me going a lot further or longer than I should have. I knew sometime this year when John Williams basically demonetized all my videos, that was a great time for me to really reevaluate, but I didn't know exactly how to articulate that, there was something wrong. Something in my gut was like, you need to change direction. And I was sitting in The Last Jedi, and for the first third of the movie, I was stunned. I didn't like the first third. Now, I did like more of it as it went on, but it still wasn't the Star Wars. The reason why I got into Star Wars, I felt had been lost. And there was this voice in my head that said, you need to go into exile. And I told my parents, because I went to see it with them, which is, one of the reasons why I got into Star Wars is I saw Revenge of the Sith in 2005 with my dad. We didn't talk for like 10 years. And so, off and on. And so this was a big moment for me to see it with him. And so the connectivity and family, Star Wars brings people together. And I'll touch on that, but I walked out of the cinema and I said, I think I need to stop. And they were like, are you crazy? Just, milk it for ages. And this is the biggest time to be a Star Wars YouTuber, you idiot. But I'm just unhappy with how it's going. I started the channel because Disney was taking over and I was excited to teach people about canon and learn with you guys. Basically, so, take Wikipedia articles and turn them into video form because I enjoy video more and nobody was doing that. And I thought, great, I love the expanded universe. I'm a lore junkie. We're going to learn together. And what better way to teach yourself than to actually make content around it? And I was doing that, and the hype was building up in 2015, Force Awakens. All my reactions were absolutely genuine. I was putting out 100 videos compared to this year, but I saw The Force Awakens and I went, wow, that's a bit of a reboot, but I guess it's safe for Disney. And then they put out Rebels, and I liked Rebels at the start, and then I said, this is even more childlike than the Clone Wars. That's a little bit strange. Hopefully they come out with more adult content because, $6 billion a year, clearly they need to appease the stakeholder. Disney does by making toys and things that, can be sold to children, and then they'll come for the adults. And then they went further with it, and I started to realize things were becoming more politicized or child-based, like Forces of Destiny, and I thought, I saw Forces of Destiny. I thought, that's cool. There's 7 billion people on the planet, 3.5 are men. Clearly, you want to get the other 3.5 women, on board and get as many Star Wars fans as possible. But it was exclusionary. It wasn't because it was aimed at women. It's because I'll put my top character of all time, who I still think about, is Kreia out of KOTOR 2. The things that she says still roll around my head. It's not about that. It's about Disney was targeting a very specific audience. If you look at Forces of Destiny, for example, 4 out of 5 of the main characters are Caucasian women, between 5'2" and 5'6", who look, if you look at the toys, they all look the same, their heads. They're pretty much interchangeable people. It's almost like a Barbie doll. I know that's horrible, but what I'm saying is Disney have an agenda and they're always targeting someone, and I accepted it. But the argument that people make is that Star Wars was always for children, and maybe at the start that's true, but the original trilogy was darker. People were tortured. It was more profound. It was less politicized. You couldn't just poke a hole through it and see what they were trying to say. The message was understated, but it was subtle and there. And so I liked the expanded universe because it became more adult. They were like, let's tell the stories that we can't just in the movies. And so then we had the video games, which again went even further and it opened up the galaxy. So I've waited for Disney to do this. And on that front, the video games, we've had Battlefront 1 and 2, which I don't have to talk about, obviously microtransactions, a lot of mobile games, which again is just money. It's Disney aiming at people. And I'm not mad at Disney. It is their prerogative to make as much money as possible. I understand that. The Marvel Universe I actually really like. Thor and the direction they're going in, absolutely great. And Infinity Wars. But Star Wars is suffering from, politics and just aiming at kids. And that's fine. If that's what Disney want to do, I was hoping that they would see that Star Wars is a universe, a galaxy that's bigger than just children. And I feel like if you just aim at one, demographic, children, that you're looking at a universe through a keyhole, so to speak. And I'm not a child. And so I'd made this content, hyping it up, and it started to feel false. I think it was when Thrawn came to Rebels, and I was psyched for him, but he fell short. And then I thought, this is pretty mundane. And I don't blame Rebels for being mundane, because if you look at, like, say, Spider-Man, the 90s cartoons, or X-Men, the pacing is hyper slow. You remember it faster because you're a kid. But I'm not a child anymore, and I can't pretend to be hyped for child stuff. That's why I just stopped doing Rebels reviews. Now, people will say, well, why didn't you cover, more content or whatever? And it was because what happened was, instead of being negative, because when the expanded universe shut down and Disney took over, there was so much vitriol and so many people complaining. I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon. I didn't want to be one of those people who were like, screw Disney and we need XYZ. I felt people were over it. It was like prequels bashing. So I thought, if I can't be positive, I'm going to try, don't say anything at all, but I'll try and be positive. But I felt less authentic and like myself. And then I felt false. And that's where we've got to now, where I don't like a lot of the things. I feel acutely unhappy with the direction. It's like Pablo Hidalgo said with the Clone Wars. He said the reason why they stopped the Clone Wars was people aged out. So people stopped watching the Clone Wars because they grew up and they said, you know what? We don't, we're too old for the Clone Wars. However, nostalgia hits after it closed down. But instead of making a new series for people, they went, let's just make a new cartoon aimed at kids. And, Rebel shuts down. Let's make one aimed at kids. Now, there are Netflix series coming, and over time, the movies could be cool. But I feel like they're missing that whole adventure, space opera, the core elements that make Star Wars, the profoundness. It seems so much more transparent. And The Last Jedi missed the mark for me so much. I've just had a calling in another direction. I will always love Star Wars. This breaks my heart to make this video because it's always going to be an integral part of my life. I think you see Vader on my shoulder. Like, I'm not going to stop maybe making things about Star Wars, but one of the things that I just don't respect myself for is being inauthentic. So I'm not going to make any, content on things that I don't like. I don't feel that I bring anything to the table that, say, Alex Star Wars Explained. He makes great breakdown videos. So I feel like the thing that I wanted to start with, helping people understand it, he's covering it well. It's a shameless plug. I love his content. And other people like Stupendous Wave, Star Wars Theory, they break down Star Wars into a minutia. And I don't want to be a dude who buys a comic, waits for Vader to say one line, then make a video about it. It's cool that other people do it, and I respect that, and that's their shtick, but why have me? Why? You don't need me anymore. I'm kind of chopped liver. It doesn't make me happy. It makes them happy. They make content that's good. Why not allow them to do it? And I feel like that's all people are doing. They're not creating. They're kind of just explaining and breaking down, and that's fine. It makes them happy, and everybody seems to like that, but it doesn't make me happy. So no hate or, shade thrown on any of the other creators. What I'm saying is that it's kind of covered, and even if it wasn't, even if that space was open, I wouldn't do it anyway. So it's kind of like I need to move in a direction that makes me happy. So I'm going to experiment to decide on this channel. I was doing iDash to do gaming, but I thought, no, moving forward, I'm going to make content that I like. Hit or miss, sink or swim, whatever happens, happens. I appreciate you to the ends of the earth. If you stick with me, great. If you don't, as I said, there's a couple of channels I mentioned that you should absolutely check out. I have had a great journey, and I will continue to grow and to try things, and it's just the beginning for me, but I just don't want to make anything false for you, and I don't want to be a dampener on the series and just, poke holes and say this is bullshit, because I feel like that's not the message. I always brought a passion and an energy first and foremost, and you guys helped me bring that up, and once that died in me and I realized I need to focus on other things, I can't do you, I can't let you down. And I feel like I have in a lot of ways, and this is why it's taken me this long to articulate it. At the most hype time to do so, I've screwed myself, but I would rather celebrate Star Wars that we love together, because our love surrounds and it does bind us. And if you ever have a moment and you think, you know, Dash is wrong. Star Wars is the way that it was. Just do me a favor. Watch a scene with Yoda, and I'll say this over and over, a puppet who said the most profound, heartfelt things that made you think to this day. Then watch one of the new Star Wars movies, or, you know, and try and find something in the dialogue that really hits you in that same place, because that's what I look for. I feel like some of the video games did it, and that until that comes back, I can't just cover it willy-nilly. I'm sure that I'll make some Star Wars content, but that passion, that fire has gone for now, and I'm going into exile like Luke. You know, that's what my gut tells me to do, and who knows if I'll be back or what I'll do. I hit it back, but I look forward to the next journey with you guys, hopefully. So thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.